If you walked into an Appalachian cabin built in 1910, you'd see two cheap metals tacked into the doorways and windowsills. Most people today look at them and figure it was decoration. It wasn't. One of those metals is now being put back into hospitals because bacteria die on contact with it. The other one is part of the reason those old cabins didn't fall apart for 100 years. Both metals cost almost nothing. Both still work in any modern home. And both mostly got forgotten once cheap chemical sprays showed up on the shelf. Here's what they are, what they actually do, and, just as important, what they don't. Walk up to any well-built Appalachian cabin from the early 1900s and look down. The threshold under the door was often a band of copper or brass. Brass is mostly copper with a little zinc, so when I say copper here, I'm talking about that whole family of metals. Now, the mountain folks didn't have entomology textbooks. What they had was observation across generations. And what they saw was real. Certain crawling pests are genuinely reluctant to cross bare copper. This isn't folklore that fell apart under a microscope. Gardeners and university researchers have confirmed it. Slugs and snails in particular get a mild reaction when they cross copper. The metal interacts with the slime, they move on, and most of the time they turn back. A copper band around a raised bed or a doorsill really does hold the line. Now, I want to be careful here, because this is exactly where other channels overclaim. Those old builders most likely chose brass thresholds for durability. Brass takes a century of boots scraping over it and doesn't wear out. The bug deterrent effect was probably a side benefit they noticed, not the reason they laid the metal down. We can't prove the mountain folks picked copper because of the slugs. What we can prove is that the effect itself is real, and that the metal is still doing the job 100 years later. That distinction is the whole difference between this channel and the ones making things up. And here's where the limits matter, because this channel doesn't sell you fairy tales. Copper is a genuine deterrent for soft-bodied crawlers like slugs and snails. It is not a force field. It will not stop a determined ant colony. It does nothing to flying insects. And it's not a substitute for a tight house. But what copper does, it does quietly and for decades. It doesn't rot. It doesn't rust away. It doesn't wear out. Think about what that meant to a family with no money. A chemical bug spray works for a week, maybe two, and then it's gone, washed off, broken down by sunlight, evaporated. You buy it again, and again. Over a lifetime, that's a river of money and a lot of poison around a house where children and animals live. A copper threshold tacked down once was still working 50 years later. The mountain economy ran on that principle in everything. Spend once on something that lasts, rather than over and over on something that doesn't. The metal on the doorsill wasn't just pest control. It was a philosophy about money. And copper had a second job nobody could explain at the time. It's naturally antimicrobial. Bacteria struggle to survive on its surface. That's not mountain mysticism. That's why hospitals today are putting copper back on door handles, bed rails, and high-touch surfaces. The old folks couldn't have told you about microbes. They just knew the copper-topped well bucket and the copper dipper kept the water sweeter. They were right for reasons they couldn't name. If this is the kind of mountain knowledge you want more of, our free Appalachian Almanac goes out every Sunday. One real method, sourced and tested, in your inbox. No hype, just what works. Links in the description. Now let's talk about the second metal. The second metal is zinc, and its story is a little different. You'll find zinc in the old cabins as galvanized strips. That's iron-coated in zinc, and as part of the brass hardware on doors and windows. Zinc's main gift wasn't repelling bugs directly. It was protecting the wood and iron the bugs and the weather wanted to destroy. Galvanizing, coating iron in zinc, meant a nail, a strip of flashing, a piece of hardware could sit out in mountain weather for 40, 50, 60 years without rusting through. And here's the connection to pests. Every gap that opens up when wood swells, when nails rust, when flashing fails. Every one of those gaps is a doorway for an insect. A sound, dry, intact house is a house bugs can't get into. The zinc kept the structure sound, so new gaps didn't open. That's the whole job. Quiet, invisible, working for decades. So the two metals worked as a pair. Copper turned back the soft-bodied crawlers at the threshold. Zinc kept the structure tight so nothing else could find a way in. Cheap, both of them. Long-lasting, both of them. Asking almost nothing of you after they were installed. I want to give the Mountain families full credit here, because they landed on something modern pest control is slowly rediscovering. The best defense is physical, not chemical. You can't outspray the insect world. There are too many of them, and the chemicals always fade. But a physical barrier, metal a bug won't or can't cross, a structure with no gaps, doesn't fade. It just sits there, doing its job, year after year. That's why a copper strip on a raised garden bed today will protect your lettuce from slugs for as long as you own the house. That's why a tight, well-flashed door keeps out far more than any powder you sprinkle inside it. The old-timers weren't being quaint. They were being efficient in a way we'd do well to copy.
Did you know? Steel buildings are engineered to stay stable, even in strong wind conditions.
Steel stays free from rot and pests, making it a long-lasting building material.
Steel delivers high strength while staying lightweight for efficient construction. Steel performs reliably in extreme heat, cold, and rapid climate shifts. Steel structures offer wide, open interiors with unobstructed usable space.
So let's make this practical. For slugs and snails in your garden, copper tape works. You can get a roll for around $10 or $12 at any hardware store. Apply it around a raised bed, around individual planters, or around the base of a row of seedlings. Two things to remember. First, make sure the slugs aren't already inside the ring when you lay it down. You'll trap them in with your lettuce. Second, make sure leaves aren't bridging over the top of the tape, because the slugs will walk the bridge. Used right, it's one of the few non-toxic slug controls that actually holds up over a full season. For your home structure, the zinc lesson is keep it tight. Once a year, walk the perimeter of your house. Look for gaps where pipes enter, where the foundation meets the wall, where weather has opened a seam, where flashing has lifted. Seal those. That single habit will do more against ants, spiders, and mice than any product on the shelf. It's the modern version of what galvanized flashing was doing all along. For your kitchen and bath, the antimicrobial effect of copper is real enough that copper alloy fixtures aren't just pretty. There's a reason the hospitals are coming back to them. You don't need to rip out your house to take advantage of it. A copper or brass handle, a copper soap dish, copper pulls on the surfaces hands touch most. Just know this is a modest, slow effect on surface bacteria, not a substitute for actually cleaning. It pulls a little weight you can't see. It doesn't replace soap and water. Now, the honest caveats, because this channel doesn't sell you fairy tales. Copper will not stop ants, roaches, or any flying insect. Those need different approaches, and we'll cover them in other videos. The deterrent effect on slugs is strong, but not absolute. A determined slug on a wet night might push through. And these metals are tools in a bigger toolkit, not a single trick that solves everything. Anyone who tells you a strip of metal makes your house bug-proof is selling you something. Strip away the specifics, and here's what the hollers were really teaching us. The Mountain families had almost no money and no way to keep buying solutions. So they reached for the things that solved a problem permanently. Copper at the threshold, zinc on the iron, a house kept tight by hand. None of it flashy, all of it lasting. We've traded that for a cabinet full of spray cans we replace every season. The old way was cheaper over a lifetime, gentler on the home, and, in the specific places it worked, just as effective. Two cheap metals, 100 years of quiet service, and a lesson worth more than either of them. The best fix is usually the one you only have to do once. Every method we covered today is sourced in the description, the gardening studies on copper, the hospital research, and the historical references on Appalachian building. If you want all of this organized in one place, the Appalachian Way Field Guide has 47 of these methods with the original sources behind each one. Link below. Real methods, real sources, real history. That's the Appalachian Way. We'll see you Wednesday.